Spoilers for both of these books.
Both of them.
Now we're going to talk about the worlds of Hunger Royale and Battle Games.
So in Battle Royale, the world is a bit difficult to explain because it's mostly focused on the fighting rather than the world behind it. So from what you see of the world behind it, you only see in snapshots of the kids' backgrounds. So essentially the world's pretty normal. They go to school, their parents have jobs, there's still the orphanage and government officials running everything. It doesn't seem that much like a dystopian novel, except for the fact that they're being kidnapped and dragged into a battle royale. So, essentially, it's basically a totalitarian government, which I totally can't pronounce, but whatever.
You just did.
I did?
You did it.
I did?
You did! In our other 2 recordings of this, you didn't, but you just did.
Wow, okay, I am so proud. Okay, anyways.
Now say it again.
I don't think I can. I don't want to ruin this. Okay. I lost my train of thought now. You do understand that there are some people who are working to take down the government, but it's not fully explored or explained because it's not really the point of the book. I think another major thing you see in the world and totally seeing how it's a totalitarian government is the fact that the parents don't get much of a say in this. Basically, the reasoning the government gives to taking the kids and putting them in this battle royale is that it's training them to become stronger soldiers in the case of a war, which is, of course, totally ridiculous. It's not right. I think most of it is having the government show that they have power over these people, scaring these people so that they can't do anything because they're taking their kids. And again, it's a small age limit within this fight. You're asking why people don't protest. Well, they do. It's just that when they do, they get shot down. For example, one of the kids' parents shot when the officials come to tell them that their kids have been taken to the Battle Royale.
I'd say the way Battle Royale doesn't explain the world very well is almost like a plot hole, because you can explain everything in your brain, but it's kind of hard to come to the conclusions by yourself. So you can be like, well, why wouldn't the kids just never go on a field trip? And it's like, oh, maybe they can't snatch them. They can snatch them anytime, not just when they're on a field trip. But it's at the same time, it's kind of like,
the gaps.
Why?
But I think the reason why the world, like the background to this world wasn't fully developed as much is because it wasn't, again, the main focus. Like if we were to go into the world, then we would have to go into taking down the government, because if you go into the government, how corrupt it is, then obviously the readers are going to expect you to take it down at one point, in which, in this case, he's saying that isn't the point. The point is that these people have been kicked down to the lowest of the low, and they have no fight left. They just want to live.
The world of the Hunger Games, though, is one of the most important and interesting parts of the book. Like the fact that they're the different districts with the different, specializations. It's just really interesting to read about. And the fact that it's the government that they have to rebel against, and there's, a really good section of the book that's, the first part in a bit is just talking about the world and developing it up, and you've got the A-boxes, you've got the tributes, and, all the different terminology that you have to learn. And it just really gets you to know the world really well before you go into the games, and then afterward, you also get to know the world really well, which is why it's more shocking now that they're gonna start a rebellion, and you're more interested in, them trying to beat down this government that you've got to know. And it's just really important that they develop those things. And I think that was really fun to read. So this one definitely focuses a lot more on the world, develops the world a lot better, and reflects it on our own world a bit better, I'd say. So
I think
it has more of a lesson in the end.
Another major thing between the differences is this is obviously taken in Japan. This is obviously a Japan setting. It's Japan.
As I so eloquently said once.
Yeah, I remember that. For him, his audience pretty much knows the world already because they're living in it or they've experienced it before. In the Hunger Games, this is, I think we're assuming America?
It's North America.
Yeah.
Except every map is just America. Where's Canada?
Yeah, it's been said that it's America, but it's not...
It's a whole new world
to
explore.
It's a whole new thing, so of course there's a lot more world development needed if there's a new world versus if it's already if the pattern is already there and has existed for a long time. What was it? Redundant, trying to explain your own culture to you. Basically, the psychology of this book ties into the theme. So it focuses again on why these kids decided to kill, and each character always has different reasons, which is kind of cool. Like, there are some kids who commit suicide, and it kind of goes into why they decide not to participate in the Battle Royale. There's one kid who decides to win, and it goes into why he does this and why he's capable of killing. I think some of the stuff is also opportunity. Like, you're scared of dying, and then there's all of a sudden this person there with a gun or whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, that person's gonna kill me. And then you kill them, and then or like they wanted to be an ally with you because they didn't want to die either.
Yeah.
It's mostly focused on the psychology of why do people kill.
Yeah. And the Hunger Games is more about the psychology of, like, the before and the after effects of the games, and as well as, like, the stress of the moment and, like, freaking out in the middle. And it just really follows the psychology of Katniss, especially, all the way through. But you can also see the effects of the psychology on other characters, like Haymitch and all of his drinking problems. The psychology is really realistic. Like, you can see the effects of the characters' childhoods, like the people from District 1 and 2 who think that killing's okay, and they're kind of like ruthless, except for at the end they're just kids begging for their life like everybody else. So the psychology for all of the characters is really realistic, especially considering like their age and taking into account all of their backstories and everything they've been through. And it's just really realistic and really well researched, and you can tell that it focuses on like every aspect of the psychology of the characters.
Okay, so now we go into the major spoiling, which is the ending.
Yeah.
So, as I wanted to say with the world, basically again, the world isn't that much touched on. So, the end of this book ends with the two characters surviving and escaping the island. And
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. And Born to Run. And they are basically now avoiding police and the government who are chasing after them. This book is different because it basically focuses on the end of the battle, and now they aren't interested in taking down the government. They just want to live. So they are gone. They are running away.
And this book leaves it really open towards the sequels. You can tell that something is starting by the end of it. Like, Peeta and Katniss were not both supposed to get out, and you can tell immediately by they're going to Katniss like, oh my god, you have to pretend you're in love with him, pretend you were just so in love, do this, because something is starting in the districts, and we're moving on to possible rebellion in the further books. And it leaves it really open towards more interpretation, whereas Battle Royale, it's kind of like, done.
This is it. Like, a lot of people have been asking for a sequel, but honestly, if he were to write a sequel, I don't think it would be that good, because this book isn't about taking down the government. It's about being in a situation in which you have to kill people you know well. Yeah. And I think another thing that's very different from Hunger Games and Battle Royale is Hunger Games, where you had Katniss, who became a very symbolic person of the rebellion, whereas in Battle Royale, the main characters who survive aren't symbolic. The person who could have been symbolic, who could have been used to start a rebellion, ended up dying.
Yeah.
Actually, I think both of them. Like, the Shogo and...
Don't they... Yeah, and don't the two who escape, don't they, like, go to America at the end? Like, they get on a plane or a boat or something?
It just ends with them running.
They just run away.
Yeah. I think there was, like, a movie where they run to Afghanistan.
We don't talk about the movies.
We don't... The first movie was good. The second movie we don't talk about.
It's the Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup soundtrack.
Yeah. The second movie we don't talk about because the director's son making up a sequel to the series in which there was no sequel. So, obviously, it wasn't that good.
Doesn't go well. Well. Another kind of big difference, the overall, like, arc towards the end of this book, you can tell it's more about, like, war and its effects on people and everything. And this one's just kind of like, I wonder what would happen if.
And this one's definitely, together. Again, like the media. Because this one isn't so much... I think this is more of, like, everyone is equal. Because, like, in the Hunger Games, also there was how kids of the capital couldn't be killed. Like, they couldn't be in the Hunger Games. Whereas in this one, they don't have that. And there's, like, one of the kids has a father who's in the government. So this one is about anyone can die. Anyone is vulnerable to the leading person here.
Alright.
And that's our battle.
That's our battle. That wasn't much of a battle.
No, it wasn't. It was more
So which do you like better?
Obviously this one.
Obviously this one.
Obviously this one.
So we talked about the good points and the bad points of both of them. It's really more open to interpretation. Basically,
more of like what you're going for. If you're going
Yeah.
to like psychology of why people kill, read this. If you read the Hunger Games and were like, I wish there was more about the games and like the other characters in the Hunger Games, this is it.
if you read Battle Royale and you were like,
I
why
wish it
was
was more
there
dystopian.
7,000 pages about the people in the battle and why was there no like backstory towards any of it?
Or like government, like where was the takedown
Yes.
of the government?
Yeah.
There you go.
And I guess the point we're going for here is that they're very different books.
Oh,
Stop
yeah.
hating on one book because you like the other one better.
Yeah.
You can like both of them.
You can.
We both like both
We
of
both
them.
like them. You can like one book better than the other, but you can still appreciate them for what they are.
Yeah.
Because
They both have good messages
both have
and they're
good
both
messages.
fun to read. So
Yeah.
enjoy that.